So I wanted to pick up where you left off about how the strategic and the ethical come together. As I look at the pandemic, and I've been saying this to anybody who will listen, if ever there was a realist case for global cooperation, this would be it, right? You have a global scale challenge that affects everyone. So, what you've described is the reaction has been zero-sum thinking, right? Everybody's doubling down on zero-sum.
Zero-sum.
Right? Where it would seem that, again, from a realist perspective, from a practical perspective, from a problem-solving perspective, you would want some non-zero thinking, that it's just going to take a cooperative endeavor to make progress, for my people, if you will. So how do you respond to that? I mean, and how would we even think about trying to just change the frame or flip the switch or introduce that idea, particularly against the background of President of the United States right now is going just in the opposite direction, right? Any of these sort of non-zero solutions, whether it's international cooperation around an organization like WHO, right? He's just going the other way. So, any thoughts about that?
That's a great way to frame it. As you know, Amitai Etzioni, a good friend of the council for many years, America's leading communitarian or tribune of communitarianism, has talked about this for a number of years also in international politics from, a kind of backdoor realist question, right? Which is that countries, he's always been a little skeptical of the idea that countries work together because, out of a sense of the goodness of their hearts and, they believe in peace and brotherhood. And he's always maintained that this idea of, what is known as communitarian realism, that when countries are faced with a challenge that they, by their own resources, cannot adequately address, a realist consideration, that is a consideration with the survival of the state, survival of the country, maintenance of its position, will impel them to work together in order to fend the challenge off. And so that's different from a zero-sum approach, because one can argue that the zero-sum approach is what we saw as the response to the Great Depression after 1929, which is that countries said, well, I have to protect myself against this economic contagion, and took measures which made it worse for everyone. Everyone was hurt by them. And so, you could see an argument being made that international cooperation here, in this case of fighting the pandemic, is not a case of pie in the sky cosmopolitanism of, we have no countries and we're all one human family. But saying, no, this is making a Morgenthau-based power argument, which is that the ability of your state to come out of this pandemic reasonably intact, with hopefully most of your population recovering, and with your economic potential being retained, I think is the kind of way forward. We've already seen this, by the way, over the last month in the deal that has been brokered on energy. That for a month we had a number of energy producers, Russia and Saudi Arabia in particular, deciding we're going to break with collective action because we want to maximize what we think are benefits for ourselves, right? If we increase our production of oil, then somehow we'll benefit and others will lose. And what everyone was discovering, even the United States, was that you were starting to have a race to the bottom, where everyone was losing, and not cooperating. The zero-sum mentality was not producing effects.